Okay, this is, I believe, like Group B upper bracket, or Group B, like the second place match or whatever. Like winner of this goes on to the finals of their group. I don't actually know where in the match this is right now. I can check. I'll like start the VOD. But this is NRG versus Fnatic. I don't know if this was the first map. It might have been the first map. But we shall see. Because I just launched the VOD now and I'm not really sure where I am in the whole series.
Let's just throw, I mean, if you're going to get an interesting series, just throw all the curveballs you can, right? Get all the maps that haven't been played yet, that you've got some pocket strats. I don't know, right? You know, like, basically, I think it's the
Come on, come on. Okay, it's 0-0. So this is map 1. Eichenwalde, which is the interesting thing. I wish that they would show the map draft, or like the bans rather, but they didn't for the tournament. A little depressing because I would have liked to have seen how it got to this map and which teams didn't want to play certain maps. Right off the bat though, who is on offense? Usually the red team, right? Sometimes it switches and it confuses. And they always bring you to like these useless spots to show you. Okay, so red's on offense. So NRG's on offense, and Fnatic's on defense. Fnatic opting to go for like a more standard comp, I would say, for this map, like something that I think is a little bizarre because a lot of teams will run Mei, Junkrat, like spammy heroes, but they don't run spammy heroes for this, which is I think the interesting part. They're also opting not to run the Reaper that has been working for them the entire tournament. I don't know why they choose this route. I think that they anticipate the Seagull Pharah or something, or like they think that NRG is going to come out with a strat that's going to beat the Mei right off the bat, which is probably a safe bet. If you run Mei on offense into Mei on defense, Mei on offense generally has the upper hand. So, what's the word I'm looking for? I would say that this benefits Fnatic in some ways, but at the same time, I think that NRG's comp right here is pretty good against what Fnatic has. Bloods playing Roadhog into Mei Reaper Zarya is very difficult. I would say that these are probably 3 of the best heroes against Roadhog because they're not that easy to kill, even with a hook. If he hits a Roadhog hook, whoa, why is this so small? If he hits a Roadhog hook, they still have the bubble, Reaper can phase, and he can go into the ice block, the Seagull can. So, right off the bat, I think this hero is going to have a hard time doing anything. They might have anticipated the Pharah. On that note, though, I would say that Mei is probably one of the harder heroes to kill, and her wall is one of the harder things to deal with. So, the Roadhog's actually probably one of the better heroes in terms of killing the wall and just having potential to insta-give the Mei, which I think is a big deal. IDQD on McCree, which is I think the interesting thing here because I think that they know at this point that NRG is not running any super tank heavy comps. They've been running this I don't know what to call it. This comp right here I think should have its own name. I don't want to name it, but this should have its own name because I think that these 3 heroes together, when paired correctly, I think are probably one of the strongest triplets in the game. I mean, there's like the Genji, Winston, Tracer. I think this is like its own survivable comp that is going to see a lot more play regardless of the patch and regardless of the ults. Like this combo is really good with the nano boost, obviously, but I think that it's fine without it. I think that this will be like the new standard for some very smaller high groundless maps like King's Row and stuff like that. So I think IDDQD has his work cut out for him. That said, McCree's very good against these heroes because the flashbang is like devastating. As long as he keeps his positioning correctly, he should be fine. There's not much that can kill him, but he's not very good in skirmishing because of the fact that if he has to fight on the point, he gets boned. Coolmat, I don't think switched off Zarya most of the tournament. He's very good at Zarya though, so I don't mind that he stays on Zarya a lot. I think he switched to Winston a few times. He might have went hit scan once or twice, but I don't remember him switching off anything more than Zarya or Winston. Stoop, I'm pretty sure played Reinhardt the entire tournament. He might have went Winston once out of like every single stage of all of the Koth maps that they played, but I don't think even that's true. I think that they played Reinhardt the entire tournament, and he stayed on Reinhardt the entire tournament. The Ana Lucio is standard. Both teams are running it, and yeah, that's that. So that's all I have to say about the comps. I think that the only thing that's strange to me, I guess, is that Fnatic is opting not to go for a spam in the choke comp, and NRG is not going for a comp to go around the choke. Like, they're just going to brute force through the choke. It's strange to see this, I guess. I would have expected them to both go for different setups. I think the teams that ran the comps that went around the choke did a lot better than the ones that tried to brute force through it. But I think the teams that tried to hold the choke had better comps for holding the choke than Fnatic does right now. So, yeah.
Roadhog definitely going to count as some damage, but IDDQD is going to be playing the McCree, and already you can see Seagull, no questions asked, going straight for the Mei and already hitting Icicles. This guy's a monster.
Okay, see what I mean? Like, they run the offensive Mei, which is really good for getting over the wall. Like, they tried all this cheeky stuff the entire tournament, which is bizarre to me. Or it's not bizarre, it's just like, it's weird to me that they tried all this cheeky Mei boosting thing, and it's not really that good. Like, it looks good on paper, right? But they don't have their wall now, and they could have walked through the choke for free. Like, there was no fear of them going through that choke. This doesn't really do much for them. It's just cute and gives them high ground, but they don't even have heroes that are good on the high ground. The only thing maybe is Dummy. You want Dummy up here if you can have him up here. But moral of the story is this would have been a lot better if they had a defensive Mei, but since Fnatic's not running a defensive Mei, then its effectiveness is kind of lost. They also don't have a Junkrat, so there's no real drive for them to even need to get up here, but casters think it's so cool. I don't think it's that impressive. It's cute and it works. It's a really nice nade from Kusta. But now this turns into a spam war, and I think that this fight should favor NRG. Back to what I said before, Fnatic doesn't have a good comp for fighting on the point, because a closed space fight isn't what you want to be fighting into for Fnatic right now, because Buds has to hit a hook, and you need range for hooks. You need range for McCree to do damage. And you need range, I guess, to keep Ana alive. But now that they've confined all of Fnatic into this small little choke point, this really favors NRG's comp. The Mei Reaper Zarya should just be able to kill this Roadhog whenever they want, regardless of whether or not Coolmat gets a shield on him. The Mei can block people off inside of the buildings. Like, you can put a wall, I think, on this door. There's like a door here. You can wall this door off. You can wall off the door that's here, and you can like trap people in the little room on this side. So the Mei has a lot of power here. But I think that that's like the strength of it. And I think that the offensive Mei is definitely good on this point. I think NRG's comp is good on this point, given the fact that Fnatic decided not to go for a spam heavy composition. Look how survivable this comp is. Like, if they ever get scared, you just phase as Reaper or you go into your bubble. But they lost Milo, and I feel like this is because they didn't commit hard enough. Seagull's walls were actually really bad. He didn't use them. Like, none of the walls he just used were worth anything, I would say. Like, he used the wall to boost, didn't do too much, and that wall that he just dropped there didn't cut anybody off, and it didn't really help his teammates. I think he could have potentially just walled off the Roadhog, and they could have killed the Roadhog, him and Gods, but he didn't. So I'm not surprised that Milo died, but I feel like his team should have committed harder with him, because they had a way better comp for fighting. Like, I don't think Buds deserves to be alive right now, let alone getting a kill on Milo. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they don't want to commit too hard and die, but like they had a really nice opportunity there to like make something happen. Now they have Blizzard and Nano Boost, which is really strong, but Fnatic also has Nano Boosts of their own, and they also have Earth Shatter, and they're way closer to Graviton. I think Coolmat's just playing out of his mind this entire tournament, so they do really well. Instantly kill the Roadhog, and then there's their comp just coming into play. They just get a lot more out of the abilities. That's a really nice nuke, by the way, from Dummy. But I felt like this whole thing just came down to Fnatic's comp not really being ready for NRG. I think that they might have expected Pharah. I think Fnatic was expecting a Pharah from Seagull to come in and like come over the wall and like run like a diva on Enigma or something crazy. I think that they were expecting a pocket strat out of NRG. But NRG didn't really change their entire strategy throughout the entire tournament. They kind of ran the Mei Reaper Zarya stuff the entire time. And I think that that was their downfall. Fnatic ran a lot of Reaper, Tracer, Zarya, Reinhardt comps, which was really nice. But they also had the ability to swap it up and put heroes on things that weren't as standard or as predictable. Fnatic, Buds played a lot of Reaper, but you see him on Roadhog. IDDQD played a lot of Tracer. You see him here on McCree. So like, and Coolmap played a lot of Zarya, but he switched it up to Winston a few times. So I think that the depth and the ability to play multiple heroes efficiently and make the comps work, which I think is a big part, really paid off for Fnatic in this whole tournament. NRG, I wouldn't say that they lack depth in their hero picks, but they lack the ability to combine it correctly, like make it work. For example, if Seagull switches to Genji right now, it's not good because they don't have a Winston, they don't have a Tracer, they don't really have a Zenyatta either. Genji wouldn't be that good of a pick, but he can play Genji well. What's interesting about Fnatic is I don't think that they have a good Genji player, like a good Genji player. They just don't run Genji. But the fact that they can play the dive comp very successfully and they can play the Reinhardt comps, like the Reinhardt behind the shield comps very successfully, is I think what makes them more dynamic. I would say that Enigma needs to be playing Tracer for them to win NRG, and I would say that Gods doesn't have that good of a Zarya or that good of a Winston. And their inability to swap heroes correctly, like I say correctly, but I mean like in such a way that it makes sense and it makes their comps be able to swap on the fly that while also making it make sense, is one of NRG's biggest weaknesses. And I think that Fnatic's able to exploit it throughout the entire best of 3, not just this one map. Also, I apologize in advance for the potato quality VODs. I can't do anything about it until we have demos or something, or we have HQ downloads somewhere, like someone gives me the raw data. Because video quality gets lost when it gets uploaded to YouTube, and then it gets lost again when I download it from YouTube.
God's definitely got a good ult in along the way, and that's going to help out a lot, capping that first point there. They took not that much time doing it.
Yeah, I would say that the problem Enigma is both their main Tracer and their main Zarya is an issue, and I would say that the fact that Gods has trouble playing heroes that aren't just Reaper or McCree is a problem. I also think Seagull's not good enough at hit scan to contend with any of the really good hit scan players. So I think him and Gods need to switch roles in some way, and Gods needs to get way better at hit scan than he is. IDDQD kind of beefs this high noon. I don't know if the comm came in that they were pushing the cart, but he should know where the cart is. Rare mistake from him, but a pretty big one. I mean, he's not helping his team right now. There's obviously a fight going on. Enigma just killed Buds. Not something that you want to have happen, and he's over here high nooning for no reason. I mean, it looks like no reason. I can go back a little bit and see what happens as far as his thought process. So yeah, they cap. -5 on the cart, ×2, ×4, ×2, ×4. He never once looks at the floor. You see this? Like, he should know where the cart is because the HUD shows him where the cart is. But he never once looks for it. Like, you see, the cart isn't even here. The cart's like walking away from him. You can see it on the floor here. And I don't know why he thinks to go for Deadeye here. Like, this is a brain fart from IDDQD, I'm pretty sure. I think he was looking for Dummy. It's a good job that he gets this kill. I also think he wins this 1v1, if I remember correctly. He winds up like... This is really unfortunate, actually. What happens here is he's fighting Gods and Enigma in this room. And they're trading bubbles. Back and forth, but he keeps hitting each of them enough times to bring him down to like 5 HP, but he doesn't kill either of them, and now he's stuck here with 4 HP. So like you see, half of Fnatic's dead. IDDQ is at 4 health, and Enigma and Gods are both at like also 4 health. So this is kind of an awkward situation for him to be in, but he hits this, he actually misses that shot, and Gods gets the kill. It's just one of those times where it's just unfortunate, I guess. It's one of those like, he had to peek because he was going to be stuck there even if he didn't. But he missed a shot because I think he mistimed the Wraith form, but I don't know if he knew when the Wraith form was done. It's a good cleanup kill from Kusta, and it's nice that Buds is there to back up Enigma to get that kill. Buds just switched to Reaper, so that's a big deal, and IDQD just switched to Mei. So they're gonna mirror NRG's comp, but I guess there's no but. My thinking here is that I would rather run NRG's comp on defense. So for Fnatic to switch to NRG's comp, I think makes a lot of sense. None of these heroes are good at high ground, and this map, this point is pretty high ground centric. Like this entire area, you want someone up here, generally speaking. Whether that's your Ana or that's it. Like that's the only hero that's good up there right now for any of these teams. I don't mind that he switches off of McCree to go Mei because I think he wants the Mei insurance policy, and just in case they lose this point, because then he can play Mei on this area and this area, and I think that that's also why Bud switches to Reaper. I think that this is a preemptive swap just to get them ready for the second checkpoint, like this distance on the cart. So these two swaps I think are really intelligent. I also think that these comps, like this specific iteration of mirror comp, is really inconsistent as far as which team will win the fights. It really comes down to ults when you run mirror comps, especially this one, because like Mei Reaper Zarya, killing Mei Reaper Zarya with Mei Reaper Zarya is difficult. I mean, killing Mei Reaper Zarya in general is difficult. Reaper has phase shift, Mei has ice block and wall, and Zarya has bubbles and like heal and like the shields and all that shit. So she's just, these three heroes together are just really difficult to kill, and that's what makes them very strong on defense. And if you notice, NRG had very few maps this entire tournament where they full held the team. And I think that that comes down to this comp. Like they play to delay, and this comp is very good at delaying. So yeah, I just want to go into why they switch off these heroes right here, what their thought process is. Mei is just good at, like, you can block this, you can block off the bridge if someone's pushing the bridge. If the cart's here and you Mei ult here, you get like this entire area. So there's just a lot of utility here, but the biggest reason is pretty much they want to be ready in case this goes into the third section, and they want to be able to not get rolled over while they don't have a Mei ult. So I like this preemptive swap. But you're going to notice the fights are going to start coming down to nano boosts and earth shatters and probably gravitons. Like everything is just, there's always a counter to one of these ults. Mei is actually pretty weak against enemy Mei and against enemy Reaper and against enemy Zarya, because all these heroes can get out of Blizzard and like vice versa. So I favor Fnatic here because I think the offensive Mei is a little bit harder to run, especially when you're trying to push through this door and shit for the third point. I'm almost at a point where I would say if you see this comp, you should just ditch your Reinhardt, to be honest with you. I don't know that you need Reinhardt against this. Like, I would almost say D.Va does better against this comp, just because of the fact that Reinhardt becomes a really weird liability, because if he gets walled off and stuff, he's just dead. And that's just like a common theme when it comes to these comps, is like you just wait for the Reinhardt to move up too far, you put a wall in front of him, and then he dies. And I'm at the point where I'm not actually sure how good the Reinhardt is. Obviously the nano boosts are good, but in terms of having to babysit him, it's a little rough. See, they're gonna get the high ground just so they can get the drop. Also, the fastest way back to this point is like through the castle, so if they can delay, if they can stop the castle area, then they can like force them to come underneath them, which is really nice. Bud's trying to be cute. You don't have to fight the D.Va and the Zarya, or the Zarya and the Mei with the D.Va. I just meant more like you can just damage block and prevent ults and like escape. Maybe D.Va's not that good, but did Gods get booped or did Gods jump? It looked like Gods jumped, and him jumping there I think was a kind of a blow. I don't know.
I mean, that is some interesting play that we haven't really seen before.
Or you could run a McCree and just ditch all of your tanks, but I don't actually know how successful that would be. You have to really play around the cooldowns. Fnatic stabilized really well here. They had a good Death Blossom, but not really sure why it went so poorly for them. Well, getting kill credit doesn't mean anything. Like, if you get the last hit on someone, they jump off the map, you still get kill credit. So we'll watch it again. Because I'm actually unsure how they lose this fight. Like, they have the Beyblade combo, they have the Ana Reaper combo, so they should just be able to use it here, and there's not really much response from Fnatic. Most of their heroes can survive through it, I would say, but... They push up through here. I don't know who he nanos. He should nano gods. He does nano gods. Okay, so gods goes in. Doesn't. Why didn't he instantly ult? Oh, he did get booped. Okay, so that was a good play, but he should have been able to get more kills out of that. I think he misplayed there pretty hard. I'm confused actually as to what just happened because it says. Oh, never mind. He uses all. I was looking here. He should have just immediately ulted through this door. I guess he was afraid of getting earth shattered. But it wouldn't have mattered. Like, it was weird. I don't know that he needed to shoot there. I think he should have just instantly, because like they lose this fight because they don't get that combo to work for them. But he should have been making space there for his team. Like, he should have never even been that close to the bridge, I don't think. It's a weird positioning thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that. You have to make the Reaper, Death Blossom, and ults work because you're dedicating 2 ults to one fight. And if you're not using it, then, like, if you're not getting kills, like, if you're not winning a team fight when you pop that combo, there's something wrong. Milo, questionable charge. I mean, every time that they lose that was a good fight from Fnatic because all they dedicated to it was the Graviton, and they got they won. You know, like they didn't wipe them, but they got enough time on the clock. People don't realize like you don't always need to get kills. You just need to have the numbers advantage. Like NRG got out, that's fine, but it's still a victory for Fnatic, and this is a really good wall because this Zarya is just about to feed. I would imagine. Yep, that wall just shuts them down. This is what I mean. You want to control the castle, but if you have control of the castle, it's really hard to lose control of the castle. And the Mei is strong because like you want to come through the castle as NRG, and if there's someone up there like that Mei to block you off, then you're screwed. And NRG is in a really tough position right now because they have control of the roof, but they have to push the cart. So they have to drop, and like that goes back to their comp not having any range. And I'm not sure that I agree with it, to be honest with you. Like I wouldn't mind them to have a Pharah right now or a McCree. Because now they're just like trickling in. And like their fights are just so sloppy there. Like they wasted Nano Boost again and they got nothing with it. Fnatic's countering the ults pretty correctly though, I would say. Like they're doing a very good job of not overreacting and like keeping their cool. But I also think that NRG needs to realize that like the Mei on offense isn't working anymore and like it shouldn't be working. But I don't know if I agree with going Genji here. Like why wouldn't you just go McCree? But it's because he can't go McCree, you know? And I think that that's like an issue, you know? That this is what I think is NRG's weakness, is that he needs to go McCree right here. But he's not good enough at McCree where you think to yourself like, oh shit, Seagull McCree. Like that's never going to come out of your mouth, right? So I think the McCree would have done better because the McCree can just get on the high ground and poke down at them. And like get a good high noon off from the roof and shit, but they need the Reaper. Like, someone needs to be playing Reaper. You don't not play Reaper into this. Like, Reaper, Zarya, Mei. If you see Zarya, Mei in your pub games, you should be going Reaper. If you don't have a Reaper and you're going into Zarya, Mei, you're going to lose 90% of the time. Sometimes you can go Tracer and get away with it, but I would say Reaper is more consistent and just harder to deal with as a Mei and a Zarya because you don't really care about the bubbles and you don't really care about the freeze slow. So they need this Reaper. They need this Zarya. They didn't need the Mei because offensive Mei on this map, like I said, you want the high ground, but you don't do anything. Your walls don't do anything. But his inability here to go Tracer or McCree is what makes them bad or what makes them less than ideal. So someone here needs to figure out the role swap, I think. Because I don't mind that Seagull only plays the, like, what's the word, like the projectile and like the more cooldown based heroes, like the Genji and the Pharah and the Mei. But Gods needs to be able to play the, if you're gonna swap the Reaper for something, I don't know. It's just the fact that he needs to be playing one of these two heroes, but he goes Genji because that's all he can play. But Genji blows against Ana, Reinhardt, Zarya, like Lucio. Like, all of these heroes can decently deal with a Genji even during Dragon Blade. So his inability to go this hero is bad. In an ideal world, you would want Gods to be playing the Mei and Seagull to be playing the, what's it called? The Reaper. I guess, if you had to make that swap. But you don't want to make that swap. He needs to learn hit scan classes, because I think that this is going to be their downfall as the game evolves. Because Gods is super limited in his hero pool. Gods does not play Genji. Gods does not play Pharah. Like, Gods does not play Zarya. Gods does not, like, there's a lot of shit that Gods just does not play. And there's a lot of shit that Seagull does not play. And the top teams right now can swap their heroes out. Like, Coolmac can play Zarya. Coolmac can play Reaper. Coolmac can play McCree. Coolmac can play whatever the fuck he wants. IDQD, same thing. You can play Reaper, you can play Tracer, you can play McCree, you can play Zarya, you can play whatever he wants. And Buds, I would say, is probably one of the lesser able to swap, but you don't really ever need to swap the Reaper in this meta, because you're going to be going for Beyblades no matter what. So as long as you have a Mei and as long as you have an Ana and a Reaper, you're in good shape. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thought process on this. Or this is my criticism of this. Because I don't even like this swap to Genji, because it's not that good. Like, it's really not that good. A McCree or a Pharah, I mean, a Pharah would even be better, but a McCree would be way better, or a Tracer would be way better. But you're seeing them right here. The second that Milo pushes up, they just wall him off, and then he's dead. He has to charge in, he just dies, dead. And then it forces Enigma's hand, because now he's like, shit, we're going to lose this fight. But we don't have time to lose this fight. We only have 45 seconds. So he pops Graviton, and they pop Death Blossom, but they don't even have Nano Boost. So just that one wall was enough to force this huge reaction out of NRG. And they're just like, boned, you know? I'm sure Buds has a better hero pool. I just don't know it off the top of my head. So they win this fight because Fnatic actually had no ults up defensively. But Fnatic's still okay with this, because even if they try to push this cart, the next fight that Fnatic takes more than likely won't have Milo. So assuming that they can get back to the point before the cart reaches there, Fnatic should still be okay, but I'm not sure if they have time. I'm not sure how long it takes for the cart to move from here to here, like what that timer is versus the spawns and shit. But I would say that they look like they're in a good position to defend, and if they're not, they still have a huge ult advantage.
Working for NRG, and Seagull swapping out of Mei and into the Genji. They actually did it before this fight even started, so that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna have time,
I think they feel like they were starting to,
which is fine. It's fine.
Obviously making the hero swaps is
they're still in a good position because NRG used a lot of ults to take that point. And Fnatic still has a lot of defensive abilities. Like, they have the Death Blossom, they have the Graviton, they're about to have the Nano Boost. They're pretty close to Blizzard. Is Enigma the only one on NRG with a hero pool bigger than 2 or 3 characters? I think so. Enigma's very deep in the roster. Anyone that played Dota and TF2 has a very deep hero pool, because this game is not hard for anyone that's played those 2 games. And that's why players, like, I think, like I'm very good at swapping heroes. Like, Enigma's very good at swapping heroes. He played a shitload of League. A lot of the players that have deep game histories have deep hero pools, and I think that that's what separates a lot of these teams right now. So they made a lot out of a little bit there. That was a pretty good Death Blossom. It wasn't the best Death Blossom, but they only committed the Death Blossom and the Nano Boost. I guess they committed the Graviton too. But the trade-off was they used 3 ults. They still have 3 ults. I like this swap actually to the Junkrat. A lot of people, you don't see this very often on a lot of maps, because it's not good on a lot of maps. Like, you can't just blindly say things like, oh, a Junkrat's on 3rd points, like, what's that? That's garbage. But no, I think this swap was very intelligent. I don't know who called for it, but essentially you're just going to spam rollers on one side and put Mei walls on the other. And this is, I would argue that you could probably run Symmetra on this point. Like randomly just pull out a Symmetra instead of one of your heroes. I think that that's a completely legitimate idea. I don't really want to like get people to start swapping to Symmetra and shit, but just for the orbs, I think that you would just lock down an entire. You could lock down this map with a Junkrat on one side and Symmetra on the other side, like just completely cancerize the shit out of this map. But that's why I like the Junkrat swap, because now they're ditching the Zarya for the Junkrat, and I think that that's very good. But at the same time, it's a little risky because if NRG does ever push through here, the Junkrat's gonna have a hard time staying alive. And their whole team's gonna have a hard time staying alive because they don't have the Zarya bubbles to keep them out of getting frozen and stuff. So Buds is just like hiding here, just waiting. Because the team comes through, they're not gonna look behind them. They have to see what's in front of them first. Seagull goes back to Mei. They're up against the wall at this point. They've lost a lot of fights. They lost that last fight, and you don't actually get that much time for completing the second checkpoint. So I guess he feels like the Genji wasn't working, but obviously the Genji wasn't working. But they really messed up, I think, their push. Like, when that door opens, that's your window. Like, you have to make that first push work, and they didn't. It's a really good, yeah. What was interesting, I watched this fight live, I think, or like when I was watching it live, I thought IDDQD hit the best Blizzard that he possibly could, but his teammates were like so distracted that they never got an opportunity to help him. Like, Fullmat just pumps all of his ammo into this Reaper, and he doesn't kill the Reaper because Nano Boost is just that powerful. But I don't think Cool Matt knew that there were like 3 frozen people behind him, or he could have had like an easy triple kill there. So that's just unfortunate. IDQD stalling the shit out of this cart. I like that. They know that there's only 7 seconds left. They just can't lose here. And this is where I think you kind of wish you had the Zarya as opposed to the Junkrat. I don't know if this tire's going to do anything, but they have the tire. That's all they have, though. Like, if you're NRG right now, you're in a decent position. But look at how much respect they have to give that tire. I don't know how Kusta kills Milo here. Like, how did that happen? The tire didn't even go off. What? How did he? How did they kill? I just rewound for anyone that is confused. How did they kill Milo? Why did Milo die? Like, NRG is in such a dominant position here. Like, look at NRG's status right now. All they have to do is not feed. Everyone's full health, everyone's full health. All they have is a tire. Literally it. Just a tire. Milo's on the cart, Milo's on the cart. He gets charged. That shit can't happen. He shouldn't even be in a position to get charged. He looks at the tire and then he dies. Him dying there, I think, destroys their entire push. I think that they honestly could have won this push if they had him, but like the Earth Shatter would have been a huge difference. The charge there would have been a big deal. That was a really clutch kill from Stoop, but I don't know that that should happen. I don't know. That was weird that he died. I felt like NRG had a really good opportunity there. All they had to do was break the Reinhardt shield, and they would have won. But I think they panicked a bit.
Stop NRG from getting onto that 3rd point. That's going to make a big difference now that they're going to change sides. And so if Fnatic are feeling confident on the map, things could get hairy here for NRG.
Look, the ice wall they put up to actually get up onto the high ground.
You're so burly, man. I'm like envious of his like sideburn, like facial hair.
They did actually put the whole team up there. I sort of wish it would have been 4 of them, and the other 2 could have come in to flank the attack that was going. You know, so just to spread up the team a little bit, or at least segmented a little bit, so they're not everyone, because they were all
Milo.
And that was a really big problem.
Dummy with his backwards hat, like 1998.
3rd point feeds into that. That's where Mei really gets to shine. Not only are you getting the walls to really just block off large chunks of the
IDDQD with his top knot. Gods with his shiny head.
Where I'm thinking
think that's Buds, but
in the beginning, and the wall has the gate hasn't come down again.
might be Vonnet though, but I think it's Buds.
And then you make one big push to fight it, because once you fail that fight and you're in on the other side, you push the card through. Then
Offense now. NRG decide that they're gonna give up the Reaper in favor of the Roadhog. I don't know why they think that this is a good idea. I think if you're gonna run the Mei Reaper, the Mei Zarya, you should just commit to another DPS class. Like, you need more damage. That's one thing that I think people don't realize about the Mei Zarya combo, is that it's not a lot of damage. Like, all of your kills are completely dependent on things being frozen. If things aren't frozen, they're not dying. Obviously Sleep Dart into Hook is good, but they don't have fighting potential with this comp. Like, you can't, I don't think switching out the Reaper for the Roadhog is a thing. You need a consistent source of damage. Like, look at Fnatic right now, look how much damage they have. Like, they have the Tracer Reaper, like that in itself is huge damage. Seagull Mei is not that much damage. God's Roadhog is not that much damage, especially when you consider the fact that they have so much sustain, like they have the Zarya bubble. I think this comp is just lacking in legitimacy. Like, I don't agree with this composition. I think that this composition is completely dependent on them holding the choke forever and has no backup plan when it comes to actually fighting on the point. Like, if Fnatic's able to get through the choke, I think NRG just gets ran over. So we'll see. Because you can't fight on the point. You even saw Fnatic get rolled over too with the same thing. Like, I think the same thing that happened to Fnatic is about to happen to NRG. But I like the Tracer pick. The Tracer pick's interesting because once Tracer gets in, you have to deal with her. So he just goes in for free. So I don't know where the Mei wall was. I don't know where anything was, but he's in for free. All right. I thought that this was cool too. He gets in behind. He doesn't even bother trying to go for a kill. I think that this is something that if you're going to take away something from this VOD, this is what you take away from this specific point. He doesn't even care about this Lucio. He could have potentially tried to fight this Lucio, but he doesn't give a shit about this Lucio. All he cares about is getting his cooldowns back. He doesn't want to go out here and fight one person or even two if he doesn't have any of these cooldowns. So he just goes in here to hide, and you might think like, oh, why does he not just kill that Lucio? But it's because he needs his cooldowns on the blink, and he's waiting for the blink cooldowns before he goes back into fight. Because he's just that much more survivable and has more kill potential if he waits for the cooldown. So he's not even engaging, sitting here waiting for the blinks, gets the free kill on Pooks. Still waiting for the blinks, forcing players back because they have to tap cap. Takes his damage from the Ana and just gets kills. Once he killed the first support, the second support's a free kill. I mean, he didn't have his nuke up, and now he's just able to do whatever the hell he wants. Like, now he's just a Tracer. The Zarya bubble was just used. He knows that. Gets an easy kill on the Hog. Like, it was just very textbook Tracer play right here from him, and I think that goes back to the fact that NRG's comp was just not reliable when it comes to fighting. Like, the second IDD got back, they didn't even have a way to kill him. Like, the only way they kill him is a hook or a sleep dart or I guess a Mei headshot, but he just drew all of their attention back to him while the rest of his team steamrolled in, and they still had damage in the front line for Fnatic. Like, they didn't rely on this Tracer to do all of their damage. Like, he didn't even get that many kills when you think about it. Like, or he didn't do that much damage when you think about it. Like, he got his pulse bomb up, but it looked like a lot of his kills were just like, he just tapped them, a few times and he died. It wasn't like 0 to 100. It was like 20, 30, 20, like stuff like that. And that's just because of how powerful their comp is even without him. Like, they still have the Zarya, they still have the Reaper. You look at NRG, like, they have nothing. Enigma's only at 40% ult, Coolmat's at 80. Because they have a Reaper to bubble. They have a Reinhardt to charge in. Fnatic's comp just has a shit ton of damage, and NRG's has none. And I don't think you ever want to run a comp that doesn't have damage. Like, they needed at least a McCree or at least a Reaper on Gods. I think that this Roadhog is a mistake. Even a Hanzo Roadhog would have been good, but they didn't do that. They needed a way to deal with heroes like Genji Tracer, and they actually have none right now. At least defensively. But Genji wouldn't have been that good. I think the Tracer pick was good, and I think that it is why they were able to take this.
And that's what I mean by him staying alive, right?
He didn't actually, like, he was just a distraction. He got a lot of cleanup kills. Like, it looked like, oh shit, IDQ popping off, gets a 5 kill. But he didn't really, like, I mean, it's 100% though on a Lucio. So the Lucio heals and stuff. It's not like a true, like, 0 to 100.
And look at this, NRG saying, look, that Tracer's so annoying, we need a flank gods there to take care of business. So there are just...
They're completely dependent on this roof control right now, NRG, and I don't like this decision to fall. They don't have anything. Like, they want to use their nano boost, but on what? Like, God just switched to McCree, which I think was a good move. He should have been on McCree the whole time. But them dropping on the card here, I think, is a mistake. Because it's much easier to fight not in front of the enemy spawn, I think. Like, normally you want to fight at the beginning, which, so, like, I think that's what they want to do. But I think it's almost more important to control the castle than it is to slow down the cart. Because I think by controlling the castle, you inadvertently slow down the cart. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, on Dorado. I'm going to draw Dorado for a second. Let's say that this is the defensive spawn on the second point, and then you have like that staircase that goes up, like comes up this way. This is the staircase, and this is like the health pack, and then you're in the bank. This is like the bank. So you guys with me? And then there's like that upper high ground, that edge on the ledge. Then there's like the church here, and the church has the high ground, and then there's the church low ground with the entrance, and then there's like the street with the cart, and like the street goes back towards that archway where the Widowmaker stands, right? This is the Widowmaker. So 9 times out of 10, you'll dive bomb off of this, right? And you'll fight when the cart's about here. When the cart's here, it's smart for defense to like treat this as a diving board and just go down and kill them. Because if you take the fight here, you can still spawn back here and you'll still have access to high ground. It's not that easy for offense to take control of the high ground even if they win this fight, because they still have to push the cart through the low ground, and there's all of this room to get it like here, right? Like this is the capture zone. You guys with me? I just changed the color of the road for some reason, so I'm sorry. This should be pink. But so like fighting here is good. But on Eichen, let's say I don't have like a good mental image of the map from a top-down perspective, but like let's say this is the bridge, this area is the castle, and then this is the enemy spawn. That's kind of how this map works out. Like the cart goes like this, you know? So when you fight here, defense has a really easy, or offense has a really easy time getting to this area, which is what I think is important, like the upper part of the castle. And while you're up here, you're still helping your teammates roll the cart. But it's easier for offense to get up here as opposed to like Dorado, where they have to like go all the way through the church, they have to go all the way through the bank. Like it's not ideal. So controlling the roof, I think, is way more important on this map than it is on Dorado. So like that thought mentality that NRG has, I think works if you're on Dorado, but I think here it's a mistake because they're gonna lose high ground and they're gonna give up the top of the castle. Like you're eventually gonna lose this fight no matter what. And they don't even have that much damage. Like, if you're gonna do stuff like this, Gods needs to be on Reaper. Gods needs to not be on McCree. Like, you don't want to be a McCree diving onto the cart with a Zarya and a Mei. Like, you're not gonna do anything. And their comp doesn't make sense when you consider fighting. Like, their comp should not be fighting. And they kept doing this throughout the tournament. And I felt like this was their biggest downfall was them not really understanding the strength of their comp and trying too hard to like make kills happen with it. Like the point of this comp isn't to make kills happen, especially when you don't run a Reaper. The point of this comp is to slow down the cart. So like you take a fight with Graviton and that's it. You just pop Graviton. You take a fight with nano boosted Reinhardt and that's it. But those should be enough for you to win. But like a combo between some of these ults is good. Like if you can get like a Graviton into freeze, that's a 1 fight. If you can get a good nano boost, that's a 1 fight. Get a good Earth Shatter, it's a one fight. But you have to have positioning, and by giving up your positioning, you're like feeding into Fnatic. Like Fnatic only really use Graviton there and Nano Boost. Like Nano Boost up in 5 seconds. It doesn't matter if they trade Nano Boosts. So Coolmat popping Graviton just meant that NRG essentially wiped for free. But not only did they wipe for free, they gave up the castle. So now Fnatic has full control of the castle, and having control of the castle is like huge. So immediately, I'm assuming you'll see heroes just go straight up top as soon as they kill off Enigma. So here, immediately, IDDQD takes roof control, Coolmat takes roof control. The two of them are just like, we're taking this roof, this is us. And Buds moves up. He's like, I'm taking the positioning. Like, this was so easy. It took 0 effort. They didn't have to like walk through the bank. They had to walk through the church. Like the equivalent that they would have to do in Dorado. They literally just walk forward a little bit, and now they're suddenly all up in NRG's face. And now NRG is essentially playing defense because they have to somehow protect this door, but they can't. Like, look, they know Buds is up there, and like, how do you deal with him? Look at him. He's just like forcing Milo to have to pick, and that just opens up space for Coolmat to do some damage. And they're just picking them apart. Like, you do not want to give up the castle, because when you give up the castle, this shit happens. So that whole push that NRG just took was borderline, like, it was just ill-fated, and I think a huge mistake. I don't hate the drop the beat there from Bonathil. It was a little overkill, but it secures the point, and I think that that's important. Like, if somehow Enigma and, I want to say it was or if Enigma had somehow gotten a kill there, they might have been able to stall. And this is what I mean. Suddenly, all of Fnatic's alive, and this is their push. This is the push that you need to make work. When this door is open, this is like prime time right here, guys. This is prime time. Like, suddenly it goes from having this shitty door and that shitty door to having this monstrous door. So, if you can get your team here for free, that's like beautiful. If you can get your team here for free, you're in business. But like getting here from these two doors is very, very difficult. Getting here when this door is like wide open is perfect. So this first push is generally what you want when it comes to deciding your time. The fact they're down 90 DQD is a little unfortunate, but if they can just hold this high ground and try not to commit too hard, like just make sure they don't get shoved out, which they should be fine because they don't really have that many good ults for control right now in NRG. Like, they don't have Blizzard, they don't have Graviton, they just have Earth Shatter. As long as they don't get like a huge Earth Shatter here from NRG, I think Fnatic's okay. But you really just want to control this high ground. And I mean the high ground like the top of the stairs. You really don't want to let this door close behind you. Like, once the door closes behind you, that's your push. Like, you don't have any other chances, I don't think. Unless someone makes a mistake. So you see Stoops just taking the cart. They ice wall, but they ice wall while the door's still open. Like, that door is still available to Fnatic. Fnatic's still trickling in from the main doorway because the wall had to go down. So I would say that was a mistake on the point, or on the part of Seagull. And they played this really well, actually, Fnatic. They dealt with that whole situation very well. Seagull's wall was pretty useless. Like, they should have backed off and waited because they needed to win the fight when the door was closed, not when the door was open. And suddenly, like, Fnatic has control of the cart, and that's a really big deal. Like, now, if you're Fnatic, the whole idea is just don't die. If someone dies here, that's when you don't finish the map. You have to play super conservative, and you're seeing it here. Look at how scared they are to push this cart. Like, they do not want to drop on this cart right now, because if they drop on this cart and someone dies, that's the end of their push. That's the end of, like, this map, more or less, likely. Like, you do not want to lose here if you're Fnatic. Like, you do not want to make any mistakes. So IDDQD is running around. They're waiting kind of for ults here. They'll respect the push from NRG, but they do not want to give up the top of the staircase. Like, the top of the staircase is where you need to control and where you need to never let NRG get again. Blizzard goes out. Fnatic does a really good job of splitting there. None of them get frozen, I don't think. Stoop apparently dies. What is happening here? What is Dummy's positioning? What was that? Why was Dummy trying to 1v1? What? Okay, Blizzard comes out. I'm just looking at health right now. I'm gonna just stare at health for a second. Okay, Blizzard goes off. All right, here's a wall. That's a pretty good wall. Stoop's pretty much boned. Stoop should probably die here. I'm pretty sure he dies, right? Like, yeah, this is where Stoop dies. Stoop gets frozen. Stoop does not have any opportunity here. He has to charge in. That's all he can do. Okay. Blizzard. IDQD is now running into the Blizzard, taking damage. All of Fnatic's in pretty decent health. Everyone's healthy except for Stoop, because Stoop got stuck between the wall, so he's gonna die. NRG is decently positioned, I would say. I mean, they have good health. Nobody's gonna die here because there's so much sustainability. Like, Seagull just used the Blizzard, so they're fine. IDQD backs up. Stoop is dead. Now, what in the world is this throwy shit? Why is he here? Why is he trying to fight Kusta? Like, Kusta's low? But you need to keep your Milo alive. Like, you need to keep Enigma alive. Like, Kusta dying means jack all. So look at him. He's like a bot. This is like you call him a bot here. He's like going for a 1v1 in the backline. Like, him dying here is a huge problem. Because now all they have is Pooks for defense, like, as far as heals. I don't know why he was there or how he wound up there. Like, see, Milo is now not full health. And that pulse bomb kills him. If Milo is full health, he doesn't die of that pulse bomb. IDQD is like, why is their Ana feeding? Now Kusta has ult, and they'll win because of that, I'm pretty sure. Like, if they get a good nano boost here on Buds, which I'm sure that they will. Yeah, Buds gets nano boosted because... But now they don't even have a Reinhardt to save them or anything. Like, they don't have... They have nothing. Like, Milo could have potentially had his ult by now. That death was actually so bad. Kind of weird to me too, because like I don't notice this shit when I'm watching it the first time, but... And see here, again, like they back up and they're just concerned with controlling the staircase. Like they're never gonna back out and they're never gonna overcommit. They need to maintain this area. No matter what happens, this corner needs to be their like safe place. Kusta's about to have another nano boost. This shit builds so fast, man. Like Kusta's gonna have another nano boost. IDQD is about to have another pulse bomb. Coolmat's gonna have Graviton. And the Graviton pulse bomb is probably what's gonna win them the fight. Or they can just go for the Death Blossom combo right now. And they have it super fast. This is a pretty bad Blizzard. I don't know what he thought was going to happen here. He didn't wall off anybody. Generally, you want to wait until you hit a wall. If you get a wall on the Reinhardt, you can Blizzard the Reinhardt, and like that's fine. That's a good trade. But this Blizzard is just to slow them down. I think this is like a panic Blizzard or something. I don't know why he threw that. They didn't get a single kill off that Blizzard, and they didn't even use the wall. I'm not really sure what that was. IDQD punishes him, which is good to see, I guess. Look at this. Fnatic played this super well. They played this entire tournament super well. And I guess IDQD gets on dummy, so he panic nano boosts Milo. And now Milo's like swinging at a Tracer that's not going to kill him. Or that he can't kill. And Milo doesn't have his shield up. And he's not even in a position where he's aware of the fact that Buds is coming in to Earth Shatter him. So this whole situation was just, I think, NRG like fumbling over themselves and just playing really inefficiently. Oh, that was weird. Fnatic played that really well though. Like that was really textbook Overwatch. Like that's how you should play that map. But I feel like NRG boned themselves to some extent. Like don't get me wrong, Fnatic played like super well and like their strategy was just very sound and they kept their healers alive. Like. But I feel like NRG panicked like multiple times there to the point where they kind of threw the entire map. Like they threw the map multiple times. Like Dummy dying there was really big. That decision to drop off the castle was really big. But Fnatic had that map planned out. Like they had a good strategy. They executed very well. I guess on that note, like Fnatic actually, I think, figured out the meta more than most teams in terms of, or like they were the most predictable in terms of how they were going to beat you most of the time because they never wasted ults. They only used nano boost when they had Death Blossom. They wouldn't use it otherwise, and they only used Graviton when they had Pulse Bomb ready. Like And if you don't win a fight with a nano boosted Reaper, you'll probably win a fight with a pulse bombed Graviton Surge. So like they were just very consistent in that sense. They had a game plan, they stuck to it. And the only thing that really hurt them, I think, was sometimes like NRG or when they played Envy, I think most of the losses came down to like really good sleep darts, and I think they went to Koth one or too many times. Fnatic actually full held Envy on King's Row. I think they lost on Dorado or Hollywood or something the next map, but then they went to 3 King of the Hills. I think that was the mistake. I don't think Fnatic's King of the Hill was that good. But I feel like they're a top team, and I think that they need to just work on their Koth, and they'll do well, or they'll have a better chance of winning higher stakes games, I would say. But their payload strategy was very solid, and I think that they played this series very cleanly, or like most of their matches very cleanly. Like they stuck to their game plan and they executed. I think where NRG fumbled was their inability to swap correctly, and their like that positioning on the Ana was actually just so bad. Like I don't know why you think you're gonna go for a 1v1 with the enemy Ana. Like even best case scenario you trade. But even if they had traded, like IDDQD was still gonna hit that pulse bomb on Milo, and like I don't know, it was weird. But Fnatic plays very calm, like they know what they're doing, and they had like a very set plan when they came in, so like hats off to them, I guess.